I'm that James guy, and today we are going to change the oil on my 2013 BMW 328i xDrive F30 car. I've had this car for a long time, many years, put many miles on it, but we're going to change the oil today real quick. And I'm going to show you that this car is the easiest of all the cars I've ever had to do oil changes on. You can be dressed up all nice and you will not get dirty. Some of the engineering that went into just oil changes on this car is actually quite impressive. Even though it's German and complicated and dumb in a lot of ways, oil changes are really, really easy. So what you're gonna need is a good drain bucket. You're gonna need a good drain bucket. This one's really nice because it has this little pour spout so you can dump it out after. You're going to need probably a funnel, torque wrench, helpful, but you know, not mandatory. It's just a good idea. 17 mil socket, ratchet. Hey, the socket for taking the filter out. This is a cartridge-style filter, which makes it really easy, way easier than a spin-on, as a matter of fact. Well, not easier, less messy, I'd say. You know what? This isn't actually super necessary. You can actually use a strap wrench. Would probably do the trick. I've done it in the past for that. O-ring pick. There's a couple O-rings to change when you get the filter out. Another drain bucket just for playing around with the filter and cleaning it out. What else? Ramps. It's on ramps. Paper towels. I just use regular old paper towels like from your kitchen. They work fine. Okay, let's get going. The first thing you're going to want to do is go for a drive. 10 minutes? Something like that. So that the oil is thin enough that most of it gets out instead of being still too thick and cold and sticking behind. Oh yeah, you gotta pull the handle twice. I forgot. It's been a while. So the first thing you want to do, even before you drain the engine oil, is you're going to want to pull this filter out. So here's the special socket. It is a, I forget, look it up. I don't remember. It's 16 point, certain size. So pretty easy to do. You can loose it off. But like I said, you can also use a strap wrench. See? You can loosen it off that way. So you can use either one. But the interesting thing about this filter is there is a plug in the middle that when you wind it out, it's going to let all the oil drain out of this filter and go into the sump. So that's the first thing you're going to want to do here. Get this thing out. Probably already it's released the little plug in the bottom, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So now your filter is draining. You can just let it sit there and drain now. You really don't want to get any oil spilling out of here like I just did, sorry, bad example, onto this alternator right here. Probably not the best thing for an alternator to have oil spill all over it, but that's okay. That's what rags are for, I suppose. So underneath the car, it's actually pretty nice. There's a little cutout. There's a drain plug. This is the xDrive car, so it has an aluminum oil pan. Rear-wheel drive ones just have a plastic one. But they both point straight down, which is really nice because it can shoot right into a bucket without squirting off to the side and all that kind of stuff. So on this car, it's a 17 mil, and you know, it's really easy to get at and all that stuff. There's a little copper washer that we'll replace. It comes with a new filter. Doesn't go squirting everywhere, I hope. There, just like that. No mess. Except on my fingers. But that's what rags are for, right? Okay, back up here. Let's get our secondary bucket. This thing's been draining for a little bit. You can see it is completely empty. I'll actually show you that right away. There, no mess. No mess, no nothing. See here, right in the middle, that hole there is where this thing drains when you pull the filter out. You can see how there's a little O-ring in the middle. That's what we're going to be replacing. There's a couple O-rings that this filter comes with. So now we can go over to the bench and swap this filter around. So over on the bench, we got our filter here. Pull our filter socket off. This is the main filter. All you got to do is give it a bit of a wiggle. And it comes off. And we got two O-rings to change. We got one O-ring here, and we got that little O-ring on the end. That little O-ring that drained that filter housing. This filter also comes with a new copper washer for a drain plug. So we're just gonna swap that over. Ready to go. Using my O-ring pick, I'm just gonna pull this O-ring off. And I'm gonna pull this O-ring off. We're gonna go ahead and clean it all up and then get our new parts ready. So that one, and it's actually a little green O-ring that goes on the nose. It's a little snug. There we go. There we go. New filter. Push it into place. There we go. It's ready to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of fresh engine oil, and I'm going to put a little bit of lube on this thing. Tiniest little film of oil on the O-ring. And we're ready to go and install this. Okay, we'll give our oil filter housing a little bit of a wipe. And then this just pops in. And you can pretty much wind it all the way down by hand till the end. There is a torque spec right on this cap that says 25 plus or minus 5 Newton meters. Newton meters. 25. Honestly, even if you didn't have a torque wrench, it basically is bottomed out. Give it a wipe. Wipe up some of the oil that I accidentally spilled before, and we can go install our drain plug and then fill the engine up with oil. We're down to a very slow drip here. Good enough for me. Put the plug back in with our fresh copper seal. This is 18 foot-pounds. Sorry, I don't know what it is in Newton meters. I'll put it up here. And we're good. We'll give that a bit of a wipe. One thing you're also going to want to do when you're under here is perhaps look up into the car, up into the holes, kind of everywhere, just to make sure we've got no new oil leaks or anything like that. So here we go. Things seem pretty dry under this car. It does have 180,000 kilometers, which is about 110,000 miles. Some would argue that this thing is past its best before date, which I don't disagree with. It's an imminent explosion waiting to happen, an old BMW, but here we are. Let's get some oil into it. Okay, here's the tricky part. This engine does not have a dipstick, so we have to measure this oil out. And I don't have a very good measuring device for oil. So honestly, I look at the markings on the side of the jug. 4.8 liters. That's what this engine holds. I don't know what the non-X-Drive plastic sump engines hold. You'll have to look that up. I think it's a little bit more, 5 liters, 5.1 liters, whatever it ends up being. Look it up. So we got to measure this out. Now, because this is 5 liters, I don't use it all. So then it's kind of like I use most of it, and then I wind up using a couple jugs and kind of going through them. So at this point in time, I've got just under 2.5 liters. I just go by these markings right here on the side of the jug. Just shy of 2.5. So then we'll do another 2.5, and we'll check the oil level after that, and I'll show you how to do that. Always give the funnel a wipe, and we'll let that drain for a while. Got to use every last drop, right? This is jug number 2. We're going to use 2.5 liters of this jug. So there we go. It's at the 2.5 liter mark. So we're going to call that good. We'll run this thing up, do the oil level check, and go from there. You just gotta check it for leaks. I'll go under, check for leaks, and then we can roll this off the ramp. Okay, we need to check the oil level, which is right here in vehicle info, vehicle status, measure engine oil level, start measurement. Okay, so the engine actually has to be pretty warm, and it does this little routine and then it'll give us a level after. There we go, max. It's right at the full line, so that's it. We're done our oil change. All we need to do now is reset the interval. So here, we'll go into our dash, shut the car off, turn the car on, and then you just use the trip reset button. So you hold it down, all right, then you can toggle through your different things. Engine oil says I have 16,000 kilometers left, and that's another talking point that I'll get to in a minute. Reset possible, so you hold it down, reset. Now I hold it down again, and it's going to reset it. And here's where you're going to find out what BMW's oil change interval was. 22,000 kilometers to the next one, which is absolutely ridiculous. These early N20 engines had massive timing chain problems, and that's probably why. I do my oil changes at 10,000 kilometers. That's about 6,200 miles. 22,000 kilometers. You know, for 35 bucks, for like Castrol Edge, that's what I use. It's got the BMW long life certification, which is what's required. Apparently, I guess if you run 22,000 kilometers, of course you'd have to have long life. But anyway, 35 bucks for the 540, fully synthetic. Yeah, that's, you know, I guess for those who bought these cars, the cars are kind of designed, unfortunately, for the 80,000 kilometer, 50,000 mile lease. So for the first owner, they traded in, who cares, 22,000 kilometer oil changes. But for the guys like me, second owner, you know, I've been doing it quite often, and I bought it with 74,000 kilometers on it, which is 40-some thousand miles. The first owner, that's a wild card to me. These engines, these N20 engines, the early ones, had major timing chain issues. This one hasn't flung yet, doesn't make any noise yet. Perhaps it's because I change the oil so often. I don't know, I think it helps. But anyway, what do we have left to do? Just clean up the oil. We'll pour all the old used oil into the original jug so we can recycle it. And that's it. I think you'll agree this was the easiest oil change ever. I hope you found this useful or even just mildly entertaining. Follow me on Instagram, that__James__guy. As you can see here. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all those things for me. It really helps me out, and I will see you next time.